The chandelier above the dining table flickered once, as if even the light didn't want to witness what had just happened. A man had spat on his wife. Not in private. Not in anger behind closed doors. But right there, in front of his entire family, parents, siblings, even children, during a formal anniversary dinner. And he smirked as if he had won something. But Amelia didn't cry. She didn't scream. She calmly wiped her face, stood up, and said just one sentence. "Thank you for dinner." Because what no one at that table knew, not even her arrogant husband, was that she owned 90% of the company he bragged about running. And within 24 hours, his career, his family's respect, and his entire identity would be destroyed. Her name was Amelia Patel. Quiet, graceful, the kind of woman who never raised her voice but always got heard. She grew up as the daughter of immigrants who worked double shifts just to pay rent. She learned early that the world wasn't always fair, that teachers would assume she was shy because of her skin color, that kids would mock her name, that she'd have to work twice as hard just to be seen as equal. But Amelia turned every slight into fuel. By 29, she had built a multi-million-dollar tech consulting firm from the ground up. She was brilliant, independent, and driven, but she was also soft-spoken, never the type to demand the spotlight. Then came Daniel Carter. Daniel was everything Amelia wasn't. Loud, charismatic, from a wealthy old money family that threw parties on sprawling estates. At first, Amelia admired his confidence, but slowly she realized it came with something else. Arrogance. Daniel loved being the center of attention. He loved being the man in charge. And when he married Amelia, he stepped into her company like it was a gift, introducing himself as the CEO, even though Amelia still owned the majority of it. When his family made subtle comments, "Oh, you must be so proud to have married into our family. Your parents must be thrilled you moved up in life." Daniel never defended her. Sometimes he even laughed. Amelia stayed silent. Not because she was weak, but because she was patient. She knew arrogance always had an expiration date. And one night at a family dinner, that date arrived. The Carter family's anniversary dinner was supposed to be perfect. The table stretched across the grand dining room, silver polished to a mirror shine, chandeliers casting a warm golden glow. Amelia sat beside Daniel, quiet, listening as the family shared stories. But she could feel it. The tension brewing in Daniel, fueled by glass after glass of expensive wine. And then it began. "Amelia's too soft on her employees," Daniel said loudly, grinning as if it were a joke. The cousins chuckled. "She doesn't understand how business really works. She's too emotional." This time, only half the table laughed. Then he went further. "Honestly, if it weren't for me, that company would still be some dusty side hustle. She just got lucky marrying me." The room went quiet. Even his mother shifted uncomfortably. Amelia finally spoke, her voice calm but firm. "That's not true, Daniel." But before she could finish, Daniel stood, leaned over the table, and spat. The spit landed on her cheek, sliding slowly down. No one moved. Not his father, whose face had turned pale. Not his siblings, who stared at their plates. Not even the children, who were now wide-eyed with fear. Daniel smirked. "That's for forgetting who brought you to this table," he muttered. Amelia didn't yell. She simply stood, wiped her face with her napkin, looked each person in the eye, and said, "Thank you for dinner." And she walked out. That night, Amelia didn't sleep. She sat in her home office, pulled out the company's shareholder documents, and reminded herself who really owned everything Daniel bragged about. Then she drafted one email. "Emergency board meeting. Tomorrow, 9 a.m., attendance mandatory." And one phone call. To Daniel's father. "You'll want to be there," was all she said. The next morning, Daniel walked into the boardroom, still hungover, still radiating arrogance. But his confidence faltered when he saw Amelia sitting at the head of the table, and his father seated silently next to her. When the board members arrived, Amelia began. "This meeting has one agenda item," she said, her voice calm but cutting. "The immediate removal of Daniel Carter as acting CEO." Daniel laughed. "You don't have the votes for that." Amelia slid a folder across the table. His father opened it first. It was the shareholder registry. Clear, undeniable proof that Amelia Patel owned 90% of the company's shares. Daniel's face drained of color. Amelia continued. "Effective immediately, Daniel's access to company systems is revoked. HR will collect company property from his home by noon today." Daniel turned to his father. "Dad, stop this. Tell her—" But his father interrupted, his voice cold. "You humiliated your wife in my house. You spat on her in front of my grandchildren." Amelia built this company, and you treated her like she didn't belong. You brought this on yourself. The board voted unanimously. Daniel slammed his fist on the table, shouting that he'd sue, that he'd ruin everyone. But no one followed him out. Not his father. Not his siblings. Not even the assistant who used to hang on his every word. For the first time in years, Daniel was truly alone. The fallout was swift and brutal. By that evening, Daniel's keycard stopped working. His company email was deactivated, and word spread through the office like wildfire. Employees, especially the ones he'd belittled, whispered, then smiled. Some even clapped quietly when Amelia walked past. But the real blow came at home. Daniel's father called Amelia that night, his voice heavy. "We stand with you," he said, "and we're ashamed of what our son did." And then came the ultimate humiliation. At the next family gathering, Daniel wasn't invited. Amelia was. She arrived to find his parents waiting for her at the door, embracing her, telling her they were proud of how she handled herself. Inside, Daniel's siblings apologized one by one. Even his mother, who had always defended him, told Amelia, "You deserve better than the way he treated you." Word spread in their social circles. Business partners started distancing themselves from Daniel. He was quietly removed from several networking groups. Friends stopped answering his calls. Even the country club he loved so much revoked his membership. Not because of Amelia, but because of the public scandal his behavior had caused. And slowly, Daniel's life began to collapse. His savings dwindled as he tried to fund lawsuits that went nowhere. Potential employers turned him down after researching his history. And the friends who used to toast him at dinners stopped inviting him entirely. Months later, Daniel was living in a small rented apartment. The walls were bare. The wine fridge he once bragged about was gone. And one night, sitting alone at his kitchen table, he saw a news article pop up on his phone. Amelia Patel named one of the top 50 most powerful women in business. There was a picture of her, smiling, surrounded by a diverse, happy team of employees. Daniel put the phone down, and for the first time since that dinner, he cried. Because he finally understood. He hadn't just lost a wife. He had lost the company, the family name, the respect of everyone he once tried to impress. And Amelia, she never looked back. Because sometimes the most powerful revenge isn't loud. It's quiet. It's building a life so successful, so untouchable, that the person who tried to break you is forced to watch from the shadows. So, next time someone tries to humiliate you, ask yourself, will they still laugh when you take everything they thought they owned? Or will they end up like Daniel, alone, forgotten, and left with nothing but the echo of their own pride? Dimba.